Caitlin Clark has added pressure to the March 10th date for the WNBA CB talks and added pressure to the WNBPA to get a deal done.
In the hyper-aggressive, multi-billion-dollar world of corporate labor negotiations, there is a fundamental psychological difference between a standard deadline and a weaponized financial ultimatum. For months, the mainstream sports media has treated the WNBA collective bargaining agreement standoff as a simple disagreement over revenue-sharing percentages. We were told that the players' union was patiently holding the line, waiting for the billionaire ownership groups to eventually cave to the intense public pressure generated by the massive Caitlin Clark cultural phenomenon. We were told that the owners desperately needed the revenue from the 2026 season, and therefore the players fundamentally held all the leverage, but behind closed doors, in the executive boardrooms where the actual financial spreadsheets are analyzed, the ownership groups have just initiated a deeply ruthless, highly calculated strategy designed to completely break the solidarity of the players' union. The WNBA is no longer gently negotiating with its workforce. They are actively executing a psychological siege. They have deployed a corporate weapon specifically designed to turn the players against their own executive committee, and they are using the massive, unprecedented spotlight of Caitlin Clark not as a shield for the players, but as a ticking time bomb to force a surrender. Welcome to the breakdown. Let us expose the unvarnished reality of the exploding offer strategy, the logistical nightmare of the upcoming season, and the brutal art of corporate execution. To truly understand the sheer panic currently gripping the WNBA Players Association, you have to look at the exact mathematical timeline that the owners just brutally slammed onto the negotiating table. The sports media likes to focus on the May 8th season opener, assuming the two sides have until late April to figure things out. But the May 8th date is a complete illusion. The reality of professional sports logistics is infinitely more complex and deeply terrifying for an unemployed workforce. Listen to the absolute, unshakable reality check that the league front office just delivered to the players' union regarding the actual, unvarnished deadline to save the season.
The NBA delivered a stark ultimatum to the players' union. A deal must be reached by March 10th if the season is to start on time, according to AP.
March 10th. That is the drop-dead date, and the owners are not using that specific date arbitrarily to scare the union. That date represents the absolute, final mathematical threshold where running a professional basketball league becomes logistically impossible. Look at the staggering reality of the WNBA's current infrastructure. Over 80% of the players in the league are currently unrestricted free agents. The entire league is fundamentally empty. You have two brand new, multi-million-dollar expansion franchises in Toronto and Portland who paid astronomical entry fees, and they literally do not have a single player on their rosters. Between March 10th and May 8th, a span of less than 60 days, the league must execute an expansion draft, run a massive free agency period where dozens of players have to physically relocate across the country, hold the collegiate draft, open training camps, and execute a preseason schedule. You cannot do any of those things without a legally binding collective bargaining agreement. You cannot sign free agents if you do not know what the salary cap is. You cannot trade draft picks if you do not know the core designation rules. The WNBA is currently paralyzed, and the owners are looking at the players and saying, if we do not sign a deal by March 10th, we cannot physically build the rosters in time to play basketball. The season will be delayed, the arena dates will be lost to concerts, and your paychecks will completely evaporate. But establishing a firm deadline is only the first step in a ruthless corporate negotiation. The second step, the step that actually breaks the spirit of a labor union, involves a deeply aggressive financial tactic known as the exploding offer. The WNBA owners understand that if they leave a stagnant financial offer on the table indefinitely, the players' union feels absolutely no pressure to sign it. If the union knows that the owner's 15% revenue-sharing offer will still be available in April, they will continue to hold out, hoping the owners get desperate. To destroy that sense of security, the owners have to introduce immediate, compounding financial pain. Listen to former Major League Baseball executive David Samson, a man who spent decades crushing labor unions and navigating multi-billion-dollar contract disputes, explicitly detail the brutal psychological warfare that the WNBA owners must actively deploy right now.
Increases, but no revenue sharing movement. If you do not accept this deal by that day, every day following,
every single day following our offer, the deal gets worse. This is the absolute definition of an exploding offer, and it is the most terrifying weapon a billionaire can use against an athlete who relies on a bi-weekly paycheck to survive. Samson is explaining a masterclass in asymmetrical financial warfare. The owners are essentially telling the union leadership, "We are offering you a specific salary cap and specific housing benefits today. But if you refuse to sign the contract by midnight on March 10th, we are going to actively penalize you. On March 11th, we are dropping the salary cap by $100,000. On March 12th, we are removing the housing concessions. On March 13th, we are lowering the minimum salary requirements." When you introduce an exploding offer into a labor dispute, you completely change the psychological dynamic inside the locker room. Suddenly, the players are no longer fighting the owners. They are fighting the clock. The superstar players who have massive endorsement deals with Nike and Gatorade can afford to wait. But the role players, the bench players, and the athletes who rely entirely on their WNBA minimum salaries to pay their rent cannot afford to lose money every single day. The exploding offer is mathematically designed to create a massive internal civil war within the union. The bench players will start calling the executive committee, demanding they sign the deal immediately before the offer completely disintegrates. The union solidarity fractures, and the owners win the negotiation by default. Listen to David Sampson proudly double down on the absolute ruthlessness of this specific strategy, and why the concept of active punishment is required to bring a negotiation to a close.
I love that strategy. I used it with players all the time. You don't want to agree right now? Your next offer is lower.
That is the punishment for not doing things on my time. That specific quote is the chilling, unvarnished reality of how billionaire owners view their workforce. The sports media desperately wants to frame the WNBA as a beautiful partnership between the league and the players, a symbiotic relationship built on mutual respect and shared growth. But the owners view the WNBA as a commercial real estate asset, and they view the players as heavily depreciable independent contractors who are currently disrupting their profit margins. The owners understand that the entire sporting world is waiting with bated breath to watch Caitlin Clark's sophomore season. The Players' Union arrogantly thought that this massive, unprecedented Caitlin Clark spotlight was their ultimate shield. They assumed the owners would never dare risk canceling a season featuring the greatest cultural and financial asset the sport has ever seen. The players essentially dared the billionaires to shoot the golden goose. But the owners flipped the script. They took the Caitlin Clark spotlight and turned it into an unyielding pressure cooker aimed directly at the Players' Union. By setting the March 10th deadline, the owners are telling the union, "We are perfectly willing to lock the doors and cancel the Caitlin Clark season. Are you willing to be the people who destroy it? If you hold out for gross revenue percentages that we mathematically cannot pay, you will be the ones blamed by the fans, the sponsors, and the media for ruining the greatest era in WNBA history." The owners are forcing the players to take the public relations hit for delaying the season, while simultaneously squeezing them financially with an exploding offer. However, there is one absolute, non-negotiable rule in corporate hostage negotiations. If you draw a line in the sand, you must be fully prepared to execute the threat. The owners cannot bluff. If they tell the players that the deal gets worse on March 11th, and then on March 11th they quietly offer the exact same terms, they will lose the respect of the union forever. Listen to the final, critical piece of advice that David Sampson offers the ownership groups regarding the absolute danger of a fake ultimatum.
You have to follow through. Because if your child, your partner, your parent, the people with whom you work, the people against whom you negotiate, the agents, if they all believe that you...
If they believe you are not sincere when you give an ultimatum, you have lost them forever. This is why the March 10th deadline is the most critical date in the history of the WNBA. The owners have pushed all their chips to the center of the table. They have told the Players' Union that they will not agree to the massive revenue-sharing demands, they will not absorb $460 million in projected losses, and they will not negotiate past the logistical deadline required to start the season. The owners have essentially parked a tank on the front lawn of the Players' Union headquarters and handed them a pen. The veteran players who are aggressively demanding 27.5% of the gross revenue are about to find out exactly how little leverage they actually possess when their paychecks evaporate and the arena doors are chained shut. The Caitlin Clark economy is the greatest financial miracle the league has ever experienced, but the owners are fully prepared to put it in a cryogenic freeze rather than surrender their long-term corporate equity to a union that refuses to understand the basic mechanics of private enterprise. What is your completely unfiltered, highly analytical take on this massive corporate power play? Do you believe the WNBA owners are executing a brilliant strategy by using an exploding offer to break the union's solidarity, or are they being overly ruthless and risking the destruction of the Caitlin Clark era? And more importantly, do you think the veteran players will eventually cave and turn on their union leadership when the financial punishment begins on March 11th? Drop your completely unvarnished, brutal analysis in the comments section below. If you want the uncompromising truth about the real business, the real strategy, and the real cutthroat corporate politics of professional sports, hit that subscribe button, brutally smash the like button, and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a deep dive. We do not do mainstream media fluff on this channel. We expose the leverage, we follow the ultimate financial punishments, and we reveal the mathematical reality behind the press conferences. I will see you all in the next breakdown.